The story begins with people creating a star named Elizabeth Sparkle. Elizabeth is a beautiful model and the host of a popular show. At first, people loved the star and took selfies with it, but over time, their interest faded and the star broke. No one bothered to fix it, showing that Elizabeth's popularity was also declining. The scene shifts to Elizabeth, now 50 years old. Though she is older, she still hosts the same show. After finishing a shoot, she went to use the bathroom but found the ladies' restroom closed. So, she entered the men's restroom. There, the show's director was on the phone. He said Elizabeth was no longer as popular as before. Her high ratings were gone, and the show's TRPs were dropping. He planned to replace her with a younger, more beautiful host. Hearing this, Elizabeth felt heartbroken. The beauty she once prided herself on was now fading. She stared at herself in the mirror, noticing the wrinkles on her face. She couldn't accept it and went to talk to the director. However, the director told her, "Elizabeth, I can't help you. The audience wants beauty, and you're no longer what they want." These words crushed Elizabeth. She left the hotel, but as she drove, the director's words kept repeating in her mind. Distracted, she got into a serious car accident. Surprisingly, she came out of it without a single scratch. It was pure luck. While being discharged, a nurse handed her clothes. Elizabeth later noticed a note left in her coat. It said, "It switched my life," and came with a drive labeled "The Substance." When Elizabeth got home, she played the drive. It contained information about a magical fluid called the Substance. This fluid could make an older person young again by creating a youthful version of them. Using the Substance was not easy, but it wasn't impossible either. To make it work, both versions of the person, the old and young bodies, had to be activated every 7 days. The young body needed daily injections made from a fluid extracted from the spine of the old body. When one body was active, the other would remain unconscious. At first, Elizabeth thought all of this was nonsense. She threw the flash drive into the trash. That night, however, Elizabeth felt broken again when she stared at her younger self pictures. Finally, she gave in and messaged the number from the drive, saying she wanted to order the Substance. The person on the other just asked for her address and gave her a location. The next morning, Elizabeth saw an ad in the newspaper from her company, announcing auditions for a new model to replace her. This made her feel even worse. Along with the newspaper, she noticed a black envelope. Inside, there was a number written on it. Elizabeth went to the secret address provided. It led her to a hidden locker room inside a house. Using the number card, she accessed her locker and found a box, which she brought home. When Elizabeth opened the box, she found several items. There was a serum and an injection that she had to use only once. There was also a stabilizer kit to maintain the young body daily. The kit also included special food for both the young and old bodies. Later, Elizabeth stood in front of the mirror in her bathroom, staring at her aging body for a long time. Elizabeth couldn't decide if she should use the Substance, but after thinking for a while, she injected the green fluid into herself. Suddenly, she felt extreme pain. Her eyes bulged, and her back started to tear open. From her old body, a new and young version of Elizabeth emerged, a beautiful body she never imagined she could have again. Shocked but thrilled, the new Elizabeth stared at herself in the mirror. That night, she enjoyed her new beauty and felt incredible. The next morning, Elizabeth noticed her nose was bleeding. Worried, she remembered the activator kit. She quickly removed the fluid from her old body's backbone and injected it into her young body. Instantly, she felt normal again. This new version of Elizabeth, now calling herself so, was even more stunning than before. Confident in her looks, she went to audition for the same show where she had been replaced. Everyone was amazed by her beauty, and the director hired her immediately. She needed to keep her weekly body switch, so told the director that she needed to visit her sick mother in the village every week. The director agreed and so got the job and was enjoying her new life. With her youthful beauty, she felt happier and more confident than ever, so quickly gained many followers by showing off her beauty. Soon, her billboards and ads appeared all over the city. 6 days passed in her new body, and on the 7th day, it was time to switch back to her old body, as it would now be active for a week. After the switch, Elizabeth attached the food bag to her new body and went to her office. However, the director insulted her and threw her out, making her feel terrible. The next day, while reading the newspaper, Elizabeth received an envelope from the company that provided the Substance. The message said her refill kit had arrived. She got dressed and brought the kit home. On the 7th day, Elizabeth activated her new body again. Now, so wanted to live life to the fullest. She worried, though, that someone might discover her secret. To prevent this, she decided to hide her old body. So broke down a wall in her house and created a secret room to hide Elizabeth's old body. The noise from her work annoyed her neighbors, and one came to complain. Instead of addressing the complaint, he smiled and offered help, but so quickly closed the door. She spent hours completing her secret room and hid her old body there. So also removed all old photos of Elizabeth's youth to fully take her place. So was enjoying her new life so much that she forgot the day of the body switch. Elizabeth's old body was running out of food meanwhile, so invited a friend home and got busy with her work. Suddenly, So's nose started bleeding, and her body felt strange. She realized it was time to switch back to her old body before things got worse, but So became greedy and decided not to switch back to her old body on time. She took all the substance from Elizabeth's old body and injected it into her new body, feeling fine again. After staying in her new body for 7 more days, So finally switched back. When she returned to Elizabeth's old body, she noticed one of her fingers had melted. She called the company for help. They told her there was no way to fix the damage and warned her to be more careful. Elizabeth got a new refill kit and went to a restaurant. There, she saw an old woman who spoke strangely to her. She had the same mark on her hand as the nurse. Terrified, Elizabeth ran away and returned home. Trying to cheer herself up, Elizabeth dressed beautifully, did her makeup, and called a friend to meet her. But when she saw So's posters outside, her confidence shattered. She ruined her makeup in frustration. Depressed, she ate a lot of food and went asleep. The next day, Elizabeth switched back to her new body. While filming her show, something strange happened. A hump appeared on her stomach. She left the set and went to the washroom. She pressed on the hump, and to her horror, a chicken came out of her belly button. Elizabeth suddenly woke up. It was all a nightmare. In reality, she switched her body in the morning and went to her show. But when she arrived, the people on the show told Sue they were packing up because the show was ending. She went to the director, but he surprised her with good news. He told her she wouldn't do the ordinary show anymore, but would host the New Year's Eve event. Sue was agreed without thinking New Year's Eve was the day she needed to switch. For many days, Sue stayed in her new body and kept taking the stabilizer serum from Elizabeth's old body. This caused Elizabeth's old body to age rapidly. When Sue finally switched back to her old body, she realized it had become extremely frail and old because of the constant extraction of the serum. Elizabeth was devastated by her condition and started hating Sue. She destroyed all of Sue's photos in her house. Desperate, Elizabeth called the company and begged for a solution to return to her original self. The company told her that nothing could be changed now. She got a call from Sue and switched back into the new body. For 3 months, Elizabeth enjoyed living as Sue. However, just one night before New Year's Eve, the serum ran out. Sue suddenly felt her organs were bursting. Panicked, she rushed to extract serum from Elizabeth's old body, but nothing came out this time. Sue called the company. The company explained that she had used up all the serum and would have to wait for the body to produce more. Sue was terrified after the call and began switching her body. The boy at the house overheard strange sounds and noticed something odd was happening. He came to the washroom, but this old Elizabeth locked the washroom immediately before the boy could see her horrible form. She was very old and also bald. It was very difficult for her to walk. Elizabeth was very worried. Elizabeth called the company and told them she wanted to stop everything. The company agreed and told her to use the termination fluid. Her body was in bad condition, so she hid it under her clothes. Then, she went to get the termination fluid and was about to apply it to Sue's body. But then she remembered what the company manager had said. If you use the termination fluid, you will stay in the body you're in forever. She blamed Sue for everything that had happened. Elizabeth had also used the serum on Sue, but only half of it. Elizabeth then remembered that she had a big show to host soon, and she wanted to win an award to be praised like she used to be. In her greed, she didn't use the full serum. Elizabeth tried to wake Sue up but couldn't. So, Elizabeth took out the activator from her back and put it on Sue. That made Sue wake up. When Sue saw that Elizabeth wanted to end her life, she became very angry. In her rage, Sue hit Elizabeth so hard that she died. After killing Elizabeth, Sue realized she had made a terrible mistake. She couldn't get the activator anymore. Sue cleaned everything up and went to her New Year's event. The crowd welcomed her and she felt happy. But then, suddenly, she started to feel something strange in her body. Blood started coming from her nose. When she opened her mouth, 2 of her teeth broke and fell out. Sue realized that because the real Elizabeth had died, her body had become empty inside. To stay alive, she needed to use the activation serum. She quickly went home to get it. But while she was in the lift, her nail and one of her ears fell off. She was very scared. When Sue got home, she tried to use the activation serum, but it didn't work. Then she remembered that she had 2 special substances she could use. Without thinking, she injected them into herself. As soon as she did, Sue felt a lot of pain. Her body started to tear apart, and from inside, a mix of Sue and Elizabeth formed into a scary creature. Sue had become a hybrid part of Elizabeth. Her mind was confused. She put a picture of Sue on her hybrid face and went to her show. As she reached the microphone, the picture fell off, and everyone saw her terrible, monster-like face. They were all scared and called her a monster. Sue ran away. Then, everyone ran away, and Elizabeth's body broke into strange pieces, moving like an insect. Her star symbol was left behind on the ground. Her whole body was gone, and her face, lying on the floor, smiled as blood came out. The next morning, the workers cleaned up the mess.